All right, and we're on for another episode of 10 Minutes with Anthony. This time and every time from a Bodyzone South. I'm your host, Jen Cherney. So what's up? What's new? What's our subjects for today?
Well, it's been a busy week, and of course, like you said, we're at Bodyzone, Key West, number one gym in all the Florida Keys. But always remember, whatever we tell you here, whatever our ideas are, they do not necessarily represent Bodyzone, the staff, owners, anything like that. Not necessarily, that's our disclaimer. But yeah, it's cool. It's it's been a nice week for me. No dolphin encounters. But Sunday night, I was in Big Pine. I just happened to I needed something. I had to go to the Winn-Dixie in Big Pine late at night. What do I see? They have like a jiu-jitsu gym there. I think it closed in that parking lot, and they were throwing out a bunch of equipment. Now, I don't have any means to this type of thing, so I'm calling people, and everything. Hey,
You wanted to get the piece of cardio.
Yeah, and it's like gym. Yeah, and I need a cardio equipment. Anyway, some good friends of mine who had access to a truck were able to secure me some of this equipment. And I ultimately, I have enough space in my house that I can build. I have an idea of a little home like gym studio I want to build anyway. But I ended up securing a stair stepper, which works perfectly fine. Yeah. An old school leg extension machine. And what I mean by old school is it's plate loaded. Mm-hmm. So, you do your extended plate load, and it's heavy-duty equipment. And I also got an adductor machine. That's the one where the knees, you're kind of strapped in, and your knees are going from the outside in. And that actually, I do that exercise, and that makes my legs sore than any other leg exercise. So I have those, and that's a start. I mean, the cardio, and I also got a dumbbell rack. Uh-huh. So, to add dumbbells. Now, certainly there's other things. If you were building a home gym, and the first thing you probably want would be like a power rack or something like that. So these would be like, way down the line accessory, things, but they just happen to be there. So I got them. It's probably all told new. That would probably be about, anywhere from $7 to $10 grand worth of equipment. I know that adductor machine, I think is probably about $3 grand, new. And I mean, it's used. They were throwing them out, but I mean, they're perfectly working. So that's cool. I'll start, this weekend. I'm going to start, building that home gym up a little bit. But the main thing is the cardio, because I'm getting ready to start contest prep, and it's convenient. You get up at 4:00 in the morning or something like that, do your cardio, knock it out, then eat, drive in, work out in the gym would be perfect. But
it's just amazing how sometimes, with a positive attitude, the things will fall into place. Like just last week, we were talking to Calvin, the owner of the gym, about that you'd like to buy some cardio machine from him so you can kind of work out at home. And look, a week later, you got it.
Right? Yeah, I was actually asking him.
Cool.
I was asking him what he had for sale. And speaking of that as well, they have a new piece of equipment here. It is. A way to do squats without the compression of it's a belt-loaded squat. So we have an example you'll see. The girl here working, Svetlana. I wanted to test the machine because I saw that they got the new machine, so I came and asked her. I said, "Hey," and I really wasn't sure how to hook the thing on. I understand the concept of what it does, and I think she thought I was kidding. And since last week, I told her I was waiting on my Plenty of Fish date, and when I told her if she could explain, and I said, "No, I really don't know how this thing works." So hats off to her. Appreciate her showing us, and we have that on video. Her showing us.
I have a full 10 minutes of us trying to get it to work.
Yeah. I couldn't get the hook, and then Jan had to show me how to do the hook as like mountain climbing stuff, but I wouldn't know anything about that because never in a million years would I ever climb a mountain. But speaking of that, I don't know. Calvin's got a power rack here. Maybe since he's got that, he's got quite a few squat racks now, and he's got this belt squat. Maybe he'll sell me the power rack here. So, and then today I picked up a kayak. So I got a pretty good deal on a real nice kayak, and guy took it over to my place now, and so I'll be in the water tomorrow with that little. It's a one-man kayak. It's like 12 feet long though.
I wonder what kind of kayak it is. Send me a picture sooner or later.
Yeah.
Because there's been some kayaks gone from our parking lot at Lazy Dog. Yeah.
Oh, and I got a real good deal. And it was like
suspicious.
Yeah. So hopefully.
But maybe hopefully not. No.
Well, if it's one of yours, then I'll eat the money that I spent and give you the kayak back. But yeah. So but speaking of that machine. The end-all, be-all of all exercises is the squat. I mean, nothing's going to build your legs like the squat. It's been said that if you lived on an island and you could only do one exercise, it would be the squat, because you're not only you're doing your back, you're using your abdominals, you're using your hamstrings, your calves, and of course your quads, right?
Do you do heavy weights on squat?
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the deal. I mean, but ultimately it takes its toll on you, because that bar being on the back of your neck.
That's what I mean. The knees, the bone, the neck, everything.
The compressing of the spine and everything. So ideally, it would be as a younger man to build enough quads, doing squats and everything, that you don't really have to do them as much. I started doing squats again a few years ago because I felt like my legs were getting small. I'm not doing them now because my legs have gotten pretty decent, and I don't want to. It's the risk of the compression of my spine. But all those things are put to rest with this machine they have, because you're doing everything that a squat does without the compression on the back of your neck. So it's fantastic. I'm going to do it when I train legs later today. I'm going to do it for the first time.
You actually are half Terminator, right? Because you have some metal plate in your neck.
I have a titanium. I do have a titanium plate in my neck, cadaver bone. 2007, I guess it was February 2007. I had to have almost like emergency surgery. I got to the point where I was having almost like temporary paralysis. I was couldn't shake hands, and I was dropping glasses and things like that.
What was the cause for that?
It was a ruptured. One of my discs ruptured.
Due to weightlifting?
Yeah. I was doing some jiu-jitsu too. Doing some of that rolling jiu-jitsu. But I mean, it was just years of abuse. I would have like neck problems would come up, and there'd be like a numbness, and then it would go away, and then this time it didn't go away, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and I finally went to they had an MRI, and I could just tell by their face that something was up, and they sent me directly to a neurosurgeon who said, "Hey man, we have to operate on." It was like a Friday. He was like, "We're gonna have to operate on you first thing Monday morning." It was the day after the Super Bowl that the Colts beat the Chicago Bears, because I just remember people. I watched that Super Bowl. And there was like a thing where they you have to fast before you have this surgery, right? You don't want, they put you anesthesia, make you throw up if you have food in your stomach. And
well, it was so serious time of your life. I mean, that's why you remember it so vividly.
Yeah. So I just remember being, like having to fast, and when I went to the hospital, had the surgery, and I was so hungry, and they're like cooking breakfast. The surgery was real early in the morning. They're like cooking breakfast, and I'm like, well, that's no big deal. When I get up, I'll eat whatever I want, And they put those weird pants on you, and they didn't have any pants that were big enough to fit my legs. And they're like, "What is this, dude?" You know. And I remember at the time I weighed like 240 pounds. It was, I was bigger fatter. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't as quality, but I remember the anesthesiologist, they have to do their figuring to knock you out, and so they pulled my, to put some kind of, he was like in his head, he's doing the figuring, but they had to plug something in or whatever, and they pulled the sheet back, and they saw my body there, and he's like, "Oh, that's where the 240 pounds is," They saw, because he's just looking at my head,
Yeah, the anesthesia is dangerous stuff, and I can imagine for like kind of unusually built person, kind of like person who works out and is like bigger, it's kind of hard to judge the right amount. They can easily overdose you and freaking or underdose you.
Yeah. So I got, when I came to, I remember one of the things I couldn't do is I couldn't put my hand back here like this and then move my hand away. That was one of the many things I couldn't do, and that was like one of the first things I tested when I had this. When I had the surgery, I felt 100% better. Yeah. They have to go in through the front, so they actually cut my throat, and so I'm so hungry because I had fasted, right? And so I'm like, well, they'll be bringing me dinner anytime. So but I didn't have any pain. I'm not really a painkiller guy anyway. Painkillers always make me feel kind of funny. Like I've taken Vicodin in the past, and it made me feel really sick.
You're an upper sort of guy.
Yeah, exactly. As long as I can bear it, I try to stay away from any kind of, what do you call those things? The opioids, whatever that everybody's addicted to. But anyway, I didn't have any pain or anything, so I'm like, bring on the dinner, let's go, So they bring dinner, and it's just a cup of broth. I'm like, what the hell is this? What the heck is this? Cup of broth. And so I'm like, where's the food? You can't eat any. You just had surgery. And so I'm like, yeah, nonsense. And so I'm like, what? They're like, well, we, that's it. You can. And so I said, well, I got a lot of pain. Can you bring me a painkiller? But I don't want to take a painkiller on an empty stomach. So they said, all right, well, we can bring you some ice cream. So they brought me, so I took a painkiller just so I could, eat the ice cream. So I stayed the night in the hospital. The next day, I get out, and I get picked up from the hospital. The first thing I do is like, hey, stop at this Arby's right here, man. I'm starving, It's been 2 days since I get this sandwich. I chew it. I go to swallow. I can't swallow it. It was like the worst sore throat you can ever imagine. They cut your throat,
And that ice cream wasn't like dripping through the stitches?
No. No, it was, and so, I had that thing on my neck, but the thing is, you really can't see any kind of scar. I mean, if you ever see me up close, you never really can see any scar. I guess probably a testament to all the growth hormone I've used through the years that it kind of peeled that. Just kidding. I don't recommend using growth hormone, but
only for scars.
A lot of people will tell you that. That's why they say that redid my skin. That's why I didn't have any scar like that, but that's not true. I'm a good healer. What can I say? But yeah, that was the deal with that. And they left the titanium plate in there. They said I would never feel it, but that's not true. I never have been able to swallow food as well, especially when you're eating like dry chicken and stuff like that. If I don't thoroughly chew my food, I mean, there's times I feel like I'm choking. And then there's some weird thing that happens every once in a while in the morning. It starts making this noise. And my
Terminator.
Yeah, my significant other can verify this, because most times when it happens, nobody's ever there with you, But it makes this weird, and I've said, listen, you hear that? And she's like, yeah. And I said, that's that. I'm telling you, I'm not crazy. They left something in my neck or something like that. But that's that, because it's behind, it's behind my esophagus, So I don't care how small it is. It's still closing that gap a little bit. And I'm telling you, I have never been able to swallow since that surgery. They're like, oh, you'd never know it's there. But I've never been able to swallow food without, almost like putting it through a food processor. You know, it's just.
Who knows what kind of chip or tracking device they inserted into you, man? now they know everything. What you do, what you say.
It is weird, you know, because if I even have nowadays, I used to think like Facebook was following me. Like I would think, you know, do something, and then it would be on the thing. But and then it got to the point where, like, I would just discuss it with Marilyn, you know. Yeah. And I would say, look what just popped up on my Facebook. They have to be listening. You know, now these people are going to think I'm crazy, but it's beyond that now. If I just even have a thought in my head, it pops up on my Facebook. I'm telling you, it's like if I think about something, it just will pop up there, you know? Like, I mean, I just secured some fitness equipment. I constantly getting ads now. How would they know that I secured fitness equipment?
Maybe you're some part of the government experiment, you know, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, stranger things have happened, so.
As long as it's good things happening to you, just take it.
So yeah, in 2007, the government inserted some chip in my throat, and now they know everything I'm thinking, you know. You know, I mean, it's crazy, but
that was some advanced technology for 2007.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, those are injuries that can happen that are certainly preventable, and you know, things with your spine are nothing to mess with. A guy actually just got hurt down here as he hurt his back a little bit, and he was having a tough time. And those things are crazy, man. I mean, I remember some of the symptoms I had with the neck, that it would be like I would have a pinching in my forearm, you know, that almost it'd feel like I ripped my forearm muscle, and there was nothing to do with my forearm other than whatever nerves were telling it that my forearm hurt or whatever. So, but with this new device they have, this belt squat, you know, you're not getting that compression. And you know, you can get that, you know, that workout in. That's important to build those quads and glutes, which I think somebody asked us. Didn't somebody down there ask me? A man actually asked if I could give him an exercise to build his glutes.
Oh yeah, the music guy.
Yeah, so whatever floats your boat. You know, I try to make my butt a little smaller, but it's, you know, it's kind of big, but bigger than I would like, but it just happens, you know, because I mean, those are huge muscles. Your glutes are huge muscles, and it's hard not to invoke them when you're doing squats and things like that. But that's it. I mean, that's pretty much it in a nutshell for what we have for you today, unless you have something to add.
Well, yeah, I'd say a few words about movies of the week.
Okay. Was there any punches thrown in these movies that
yes.
You're not watching any love stories, right?
No. This one I would say Green Isle with what was his name? Doesn't matter. Green Isle is a good movie.
Did you see that at the Tropic, or did you see it?
No, just at home. It's kind of like a weird movie. Nicolas Cage is in it, yeah, and you know, he acts as crazy himself, and
fake hair and all.
Yes. So that's pretty cool, and then that's for the movie of the week.
I actually started watching that show on Amazon.
Which one?
The Nazi Hunters.
Okay.
It's got Al Pacino,
okay.
And
we can talk about it.
Yeah, it's a little weird. It takes place in 1977. So it's one of those, what do they call those, time films, you know, 1977. Yeah. So you're talking about what that would be, 32 years after World War II.
Okay.
And so the idea is these concentration, you know, people that are survivors of the concentration camp are looking for high-ranking Nazis that have infiltrated into the government and different in things like NASA and stuff, which we know that did happen. I don't know about the government, but we know the whole space rocket program was built by Nazi technology.
German Jewish scientists.
So they are hunting these guys down, and and kind of exacting similar punishment or whatever they were doing to people in the concentration camp.
I think I saw a bit about it. They were complaining that the guy who wrote it kind of like invented a whole bunch of tortures and stuff that they haven't done.
Exactly.
But I don't care. It's a movie. It's a fictional
and
based on.
That was my first thought, especially if you watch the first 5 minutes is fantastic and has a great capture you type thing, but what that character is and everything would be impossible, and you watch it for yourself. I don't want to spoil it for you because it's the whole shock factor of that first 5 minutes of that show. It's
All right, so the movie is The Grand Isle and the show is
Nazi Hunters.
And we'll see you next